Hey 24/7, today is Luke 22, and honestly, it is one of the hardest chapters of the Bible. Jesus, he knows his time is extremely short, and he sets out to instruct his disciples on some very last things, to reiterate some things. The chapter starts out with the Pharisees, the scribes. They're all coming together. They have had enough. They can't beat Jesus, so they're just going to kill him. It was a conspiracy, just like the conspiracy to kill Abraham Lincoln. This was an assassination. And so they get together. They find one of the 12 disciples that is willing to be paid to betray Jesus. His name, of course, is Judas. And they set the plan in motion. Jesus is taking the 12, including Judas, to celebrate the Passover, which is a very important Jewish ceremony. And as they're there, Jesus is knowingly looking at the man Judas, who he knows is going to betray him. Matter of fact, he tells Judas, he goes, "Judas, I know what you're going to do." He says to all the disciples, "The person that I give this food to is the one that's going to betray me." But they did not understand what was going to happen. And so Jesus is going through all of these things, knowing that Judas is going to betray him. Jesus, after the meal, he goes to the Mount of Olives to pray. And he prays with such intensity that he actually starts to sweat blood. And he's so into it that when he comes back to see what his disciples are doing, because he's already asked them to pray, he finds that they're asleep. He goes, "Guys, wake up. I need you to pray for me." He goes to Peter, probably his most trusted disciple, and he says that "You're going to deny me 3 times. Peter says, "No, it's never going to happen. I would go to death for you." Jesus, man, before the rooster crows 3 times. Jesus says something really important. He says to Peter, "Satan has asked me for you. He is going to test you." And Jesus says, "I'm praying for you, Peter. I'm praying that your faith would not fail." Jesus doesn't take us out of temptation. He helps us to make it through temptation. Jesus doesn't tempt, but he does enable us to resist temptation. And then, of course, Jesus is betrayed. The people come to him at night. He goes through a fake trial where all the charges brought up against him are false. He is beaten and he is mocked, and he is prepared for crucifixion. That is what is going on in Luke chapter 22. So take this time and read. Okay, you just finished. And I know my introduction to this chapter was pretty long, so I'm going to make the devotion very short. Look at verse 27. It says, "For who is greater, one who reclines at the table or one who serves? Is not the one who reclines at the table? But I among you am the one who serves." Jesus, he knows he's about to die, and his disciples start arguing over which one of them is going to be the greatest. And Jesus, he's kind of like doing the faith column. He's like, "Guys, really, this is not important right now. Matter of fact, it's never important. The world works in this way. The one who gets served is generally the one that's important." Jesus says, "But in my kingdom, it's the opposite. It's the one who serves that's the greatest." Jesus, of course, he is about to serve all of mankind by paying for their sins on the cross. And of course, he is the greatest. So guys, I said I was going to keep it short. What do you need to do to serve? How do you need to change your mindset from thinking, to be the greatest, I've got to be the best. I've got to have all this self-pride. I've got to do things better than everybody else and get served. Jesus says, hey, if you want true greatness, you've got to serve. So guys, what do you have to do today to be great in the kingdom of heaven?